Hi guys, welcome to another 5-minute video from Eos Solar Solutions. I'm David and I'm here to cut through all the rubbish and just tell you to do it straight. About 5 minutes, that's all we need of your time. When you'll go away, you'll be informed and knowledgeable. Well, kind of. Hi, I'm David again from Eos Solar Solutions. Today we're going to talk to you about charge controllers. What is a charge controller? Now, if you're building a small system in your camper, something you want to take away camping, you want to put on a shed at the bottom of the garden, and you just need enough power to run a few small items, you're generally going to need a charge controller. So what does this do? You have all people talk about them. There's the little ones, the cheap ones you can get for £5. Yeah? So let's just imagine how good they are inside that box. Okay? So what does that do? Well, it sits between the solar panel and the battery. And what it does, it controls the charging of the battery. Now, you could, if you really wanted to, just put the solar panel straight onto the battery. No problem at all. Okay, now there's a couple of faults there. Two really very quick ones. One, it'll just keep charging and charging and charging and charging. And eventually, and I have seen this happen, the battery will start to melt and possibly, and I've seen this as well, set on fire. Now, just a tip of advice, if you're using lithium, they are pretty difficult to put out to a point where you will probably have to call the fire brigade, because this is what happened when I saw this happen. On a little weekend with somebody with a lithium battery and it decided to set on fire. So, step aside, they're not that bad, they don't generally do that, but just keep that in mind when you're doing that without a charge controller and not spending a few pounds on one. Okay, so there's two different types out there. Well, sorry, I didn't tell you this point as well. The second problem is when the sun goes down, okay, the battery will then try to send the power back to the solar panel. Now, the solar panel is not really into having power put back into it. It's not designed to do that, and it really won't be enjoying the ride. And you may shorten its life. Now, okay, it's got a life of 25 years, but you don't really want to be shortening that life. So there's your problem there. Now, before you all jump in on the comments at the bottom, yes, you can put a one-way diode in there to stop this happening, and that was quite a good idea. Does work, and you'll generally find those on the little ones, the little small solar panels for about 30 watts. And you'll find those when you put them on your car. You can park your car up for 6 months, going to go away around the world, and you want to be able to come back to your car and it's all charged up. Then those sort of got little diodes in them to stop the battery sending the power back to the solar panel. So that's a little thing cleaned up there before you all jump in with a load of comments on that. Okay, right, now you've got two types of charge controller to consider. PWM, MPPT. See, bit of a mouthful there. Right, now you're completely confused. Which is better? Okay, I'll give you the pros and cons. PWM, pulse width modulation. This is generally you'll find at the lower end of the market, still very efficient, and it still does a very good job. And what this does, it's a charge controller. It's generally going to be a whole lot bigger. It's going to have a bit of a heat sink on the back because it's going to get quite warm. There's a little coil in there, and there's all sorts of things. I won't bore you with the technicalities because this is what these videos are not about that. And it's a fair old piece of chunky thing to chuck at somebody. No, to put on the wall. Okay, right, so what's the difference between the two? Okay, so let's talk about PWM. PWM, let's talk about that. Okay, PWM, pulse width modulation. How does this work? It's very, very basic. It's a simple switch, and what it does, it looks at the battery and it says, I've got 11.5 volts and I should be 12, so I'm going to let a bit of power in from the solar panel. In it comes, and then it has another look and it says, okay, I'm now at 11.6 volts. I'll have a little bit more, and lets a little bit more in, and then turns itself off. And it does this. Now it's doing this mighty quickly, so it's going click, because equally you're probably drawing down some power as well at the same time. So power coming in, power go, a little bit of power in, a little bit of power out. Quite efficient, not super efficient way of doing it, but it does work, and it's quite a nice way of doing it. And it ensures that the battery is not overcharged. Now the one little bonus is with a solar panel, the solar panel is quite happy just to not be doing anything with its power. It just says, I'm just going to keep sending you power and you can do what you like with it. And the charge controller will just send it away. Ever simple. I know it's really, really simple, oversimplified maybe, but that is the way it works. Okay, now let's talk about MPPT. This one here. Right, this is a bit more complicated. So I'll try and simplify it as simply as I can. Same idea again, it's looking at the battery and it's also looking at the solar panels, and it's trying to balance the two up together through a little coil inside so the two can get the best efficiency out of the power available and the power required. And it's doing this again very, very quickly in a very short space of time. Thousands of times a second, in fact. Now that makes them more efficient because it's harvesting as much energy from the solar panel as possible. So it's more efficient and it's going to give you better results. So therefore, if you put them next to each other, the battery A and battery B, for example, with the same solar panels in pretty much the same place, because it's all about, yeah, we won't get into that, we'll get into that in another video, you'll probably find that the MPPT will be a little bit better. So that's it all about. And there's some links below this story to give you a bit more insight to some imagery that will be popping up as I talk. And I hope this has been informative. So again, if you like these types of things, we'll be putting these out on a regular basis to explain all about solar and how simple it is, and hopefully you'll be interested. Thank you. Bye bye.